Hey everybody, it's Ryan Saplin here, Fat Loss Strength Coach, coming to you today with a video about competition and how competition can be a disease. And I want to talk about this. This is a special video because lately, over the past couple of months, my life has essentially made a huge change, a dramatic change. A lot has to do with not powerlifting. Even though I'm going to be competing, the idea of competition is that we're trying to beat one another. We're trying to win. That's what once the cream rises to the top, right? The people of the best make it, and that's what makes, I guess, it makes life fun, right? The playing a game, the game of life. But the problem with competition is that we have a tendency, actually we always do this, is we have a tendency to give monetary and social value to people. And it's sort of hard to eliminate, but there are people that are essentially higher skilled than other people, but that does not mean that they are more valuable as a human being. There's the value of being like a really great powerlifter, the value of being a great basketball player, a point guard, quarterback, a #1 contender. And then there's the value of a human being. Now, I bring this up to you because I was listening to a podcast, I think it was Alanis Morissette actually on one of her podcasts. And I want to share something that was extremely valuable that sort of put my whole life in perspective of what I've always thought, but I just did not know how to put into words till I heard her say it. And what she said was this. She said, who's better, you or me? She was using it as an example. Are you better than me? Who's better, right? And then she said, what about who are you? And I don't know if that means anything to you. Am I better? Who's better? It's not who's better, it's who are you? With the whole race thing and racism and prejudice and how we prejudge by how everybody looks, about, how about how strong people are in the strength world, CrossFit, bodybuilding, how you look. We're judged by how we look so much. And I can't get that out of your head, because obviously for these talking head videos that I'm making, not a lot of people watch them. So if you're watching it and you're watching this for, I do appreciate it. But the only reason why is because you're starting to know me, you're connecting with me. And if you've been watching me for any period of time, you're understanding who I am. You're seeing me change before your very eyes. And for the few that are following along with these kind of videos, it's pretty amazing, actually. It really is. I'm learning how to essentially love myself. I'm essentially learning how to accept myself for who I am. And that's the most powerful thing, because we struggle so much with this in our entire life, trying to climb to the top, trying to win, trying to be the best. It's like you're either the best or you're nothing, right? What's that for? Who is it? What's that word? Like second place is the first loser, right? It's that kind of mentality. And, again, I'm a big contextual person. So, like, I'm a big C.T. Fletcher fan, and he talks shit all the time. It's great. It's funny. It's entertaining. But there's a point where you take that stuff too seriously, to a point of where it essentially puts you down. I think that negative thoughts are okay if it drives you forward. But eventually negative thoughts, if you beat the crap out of yourself too much mentally, it's going to drag you down and dig you into a hole. And my point of the message of this video, when I talk about competition being a disease, is you got to use what you learn and what you hear to your advantage and not your disadvantage. And that's the thing, because we can spin things in our head. I hear this so often, and it changes for me. Like Elliot Hulse has said this a few times in some of his videos, especially his older videos, before he got really big with his channel, was he said, it's the story we tell ourselves. And it's the story we tell ourselves. Essentially, in our podcast, and I Think Like a Modern Man podcast that I host, we had this podcast called, which the missing episode was Believe in Your Own Bullshit. And that's what it is. What story do you tell yourself? What bullshit do you believe? And we say bullshit as a joke. Being a bitch is a joke. We mean it as humor, as banter between two guys, and sometimes on the internet we can get like that. But when you talk to yourself, you shouldn't talk like that. I really don't think you can. Maybe you can. You call yourself a bitch and fucking lift the weight, grip and rip the barbell off the ground and deadlift some heavy ass weight. But I remember a few months ago, maybe a year ago, someone put this amazing comment that I have not forgotten. And I may have mentioned it before, and if you happen to be watching, I appreciate you to comment. He said, before I lift the barbell, I think about how grateful I am about my family and what I have in my life and all the great things that I have. And I did that one day, and it was pretty amazing. It's like you're using positive fuel to fuel positivity. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of power in anger, and there's a lot of power in hate and negative feeling, but it's something that you can use. It's like nitrous. If you use too much nitrous, it's going to run down your car. So it's again, you want to use that fear and anger and sort of rage to a very smart degree, because a lot of the time that you can do that when you're on the barbell, but what if, is that how you treat yourself outside? It's like this alter ego, like when you're lifting weights and you're strength training, powerlifting, and training for sport, you essentially are a different person. You're the same person, but in a sense, you're sort of a different character. And then when you're out in the world, you're also a different character. When you're with your girlfriend or significant other or husband or wife, you're a different character. And it's just realizing that you are a multifaceted person. And then going back to full circle, before I went on this little tangent, is that, what Alana said on her podcast, she said, is it who's better, you or me? Who's the better athlete? Who's the better person or whatever? It's not that, it's who are you? Who are you? Like I know that you are a deep person. I really do. And if I got to know you, I know I would like you. I know that I think you'd be a cool person. I can confidently say that because, I've had so much self-torture with myself and how much I've beaten the crap out of myself about just all this mental anguish and frustration about my life and about what I don't have. And then it was so hard, and now I can finally see, look what I have. It's not an easy thing, but, we have this world that sort of encapsulates us into this essentially like competition, essentially trying to be the best. And it has some good things and some bad things. It's brought us to a good place in America. It's brought us a good place in this, but it's also brought some bad, right? So it's learning how to balance things because, like I don't know how old you are, who you that are watching, if you're like under 30 or maybe in your early 20s or even in your teens, the whole worldview will change in 10 years. I'm 33 and I can tell you right now that the world just opened up for me. The world is so much bigger than I realized. The world is bigger than you think, and it is possible to be happy with less. And it's not that you're settling, it's that you're grateful for what you have. You're grateful that you can actually accomplish more and get more out of your life without necessarily having to hate yourself, right? To beat the crap out of yourself. And if you still do, that's okay. It's fine. We all go through different phases in life. Obviously, I'm going through a really great phase. But my point of this whole idea of you being multifaceted and me liking you as a person is I just know you would be because most of us, all of us actually, are meant to do good. We do. We all make mistakes and we all have skewed perceptions sometimes. We do. But that doesn't stop you from being a truly good person and wanting the best for other people, or wanting the best for other people in relation to yourself. Because reality is, the word selfish is that we are all selfish. I'm making this video. I'm making this video for you, but I'm making this video for me. This is really for me. This helps me. And if it's helping you, I'm so glad that you can share in it. It's not the easiest thing, to essentially put yourself out there. But I'm putting myself out there for the specific reason of helping me, but also helping you. Because this is a whole process of life. It's not the easiest. It's so, we want so much out of our life, yet, and we use so much of like this negativity to fuel it. And a little bit of that's okay. I agree. But too much of it is bad because it can drag you down like a black hole, a black pit. And, I don't know. I like to hear your thoughts. I like to know who you are. If you watch my videos, comment below. I like to know a little bit about you. Maybe you can share why you watch my channel, why you watch other channels, or why you lurk on YouTube if you've never commented on a video, especially if you're watching this far. Because after doing all these videos for the last several years on YouTube and then making the podcast with Nas and doing all the things I'm trying to do with build this internet business, I've come to the realization that everybody wants connection. We all want to connect with somebody. And I always make this joke that I hate people. I really do. I hate people. I dislike people. And it's not that I dislike people, it's that I'm just like you. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of connecting with people. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of not being accepted. I'm afraid of people looking at me like I'm weird, you know? So I hold myself heavily guarded. I really do. I guard myself significantly for that purpose because I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to be judged. And if you're going to judge me, fuck you, right? And that's not a good way of looking at it, but that's how I used to look at it. You know, so it's changing for me, and I want to share this experience with you. You know, you're watching this far into my video, and you know I know that we're all afraid. You know, we're all afraid to connect. You know, I was having a conversation with Nas, and the conversation we had wasn't going too well, or it was boring to me, or it wasn't fun because I felt like we were going nowhere. You know, and the reality is I wasn't comfortable trying to shift the conversation. Because I was afraid he wasn't going to enjoy what I was going to talk about. I was afraid of, I don't know, you know. I mean, my point is look, we all have certain fears, and it's really about sort of breaking through that discomfort so that way we get to the next stage. Very much similar to weightlifting, right? You pick up a weight you're not used to lifting, and maybe not necessarily a single rep max PR, but a rep PR, right? So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Click like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And I'll catch you guys all on the next video.